Well, good afternoon, everybody, and possibly good morning, and hey, even good evening. Ron Wheeler here. Good to have all of you with us for our webinar today, how to generate 3% per month with one option trade per week. Just so you know, I opened up the room. We're about 5 minutes away from starting the official presentation, but I always like to open the room just a little bit early to make sure that everybody can hear my voice and see my screen. I hope you're excited. We got a great webinar on schedule and on pace for you today. But do me a quick run, real quick. If you can see my screen, should say on air. And if you can hear my voice, just give me a quick shout out in the chat window. Just give me a yes in there. That way I know everything is working and I'm not talking to myself. I do enjoy talking to myself, though. I'm a pretty good conversationalist. Just kidding. Actually, I don't know. Am I kidding? Oh, I'm a traitor. It's made me insane. Anywho, you'll get the humor for free. It's complimentary. Mark and Ryan and Paul, Danielle, Paul. All right, cool deal. Two Pauls. And cool. So the first of you guys that are chiming in, I see another group chiming in, starting with Lynn as well. And awesome. Looks like everything is working so far so good. So I will take that as a good sign for our webinar. Like I said, we're going to start in about 4 minutes or so. I want to make sure that before we start officially, you got a chance to get in here, get yourself a good seat, make sure all the audio and video is working like it appears to be, and it is. And while we're kind of waiting for the start of the official presentation, just kind of curious, what time is it by you? This is a live presentation, by the way. So it is currently October 21st, 4:27 p.m. here in Ohio. I am in Ohio, just south of Cleveland, born and raised Ohioan. I work for VectorVest. I'm the manager of options trading at VectorVest. I'll talk a little bit more about myself later, but we have a office in Ohio, mainly administration and data. But I work out of our Ohio office. Some of my colleagues in the background that you'll be talking to today, Todd. I don't know if Todd's here today, but John and Brian. Brian will talk to you a little bit later for the Q&A. They're down in our North Carolina office, so all of us here are in the East time frame. And Paul, I see Tyler 3:30. I see 4:30 as well. A lot of 4:30s. I see. I don't see anybody crazy. Well, crazy time. I mean, I always say when I open up the class, good morning as well, because when I do these around 4:30, we often get a lot of folks from Australia, and it's like early in the morning in Australia. And then I throw in there a good evening because usually we get some folks from Europe in there as well. And right now, obviously, it's evening in Europe, so it's always good to throw out a uniform welcome. I don't see anybody so far from Europe or Australia though. Most of you guys are also in the East Coast time frame with me at 4:30. A couple of you guys are in the 3:30, which is the Central time zone. I don't see anybody out west yet. Nobody out west, but that's okay. Like I said, all good. Just kind of curious to see where you guys are checking in. It's I gotta say, as somebody that spent a lot of time traveling when I was younger, it is nice to be able to sit here in my office in Ohio and just broadcast these things out there. It's just cool to see and be able to get to so many people just by putting on my headphones and opening up a webinar. Always easy, nice. It's great. Okay. I see 2:30. That's like mountain time. That's the furthest west I've got so far. Who said 2:30? Mark, you said 2:30. Also, just while we're chatting, what do you do for a living? You retired, still working? I'm just curious. When I originally put this concept of trading together for VectorVest, it's been almost 10 years now. I've been doing this for 9. I originally created the idea for retirees looking to bring in extra income every month. But over the years, I found that I've had such a wide array of clientele that do these types of trades. I've had 14-year-olds in my class where a dad signed up his son because he wanted him to learn how to create income even at a young age before college. Always wanted to teach him that. I've had people in their 90s do this. So I've seen all over the spectrum. And I'm just kind of, like I said, I'm just kind of curious to see what the demographic is here. So looks like looks like kind of a mix here. Retired, working, looking to retire in 5 years. Retired, recently retired. Hope to retire soon. It's cool. See Mark and Paul and Lynn as well. All right, cool. Like I said, it's just kind of curious to see where people are at. The great part about what you're going to see today is this. It doesn't really matter. I'm 48 years old. I've been trading since I was 21. You know, This is 95% of what I do as a trader. And like I said, we'll talk a little bit more about that as we get into the course or into the webinar tonight about, a little bit of my history, why I shifted to investing and trading like this, etc. In any case, it's 4:30 Eastern time. That means it is time to go ahead and get started. So let's do that. I want to officially get started, and I want to welcome you to today's webinar. It's called How to Generate 3% per month with one option trade per week. And in today's webinar, I'm going to show you the breakthrough system I developed here at VectorVest that's going to help you learn to generate income in any market. Now, the information I'm going to share with you has changed not only my life, and I've seen it change the lives of so many people. So I hope you're excited about it as well. In this webinar, you're going to see how you can begin making a paycheck averaging 3% per month or more, keeping in mind you can do it regardless of market direction. You can do it with little to no prior experience with options. You can do it safer than simply buying and selling stocks. And it's something that you can implement quickly. Now, I know it might sound too good to be true, and you might be thinking, is it legit? You want some proof. I get it. So would I. I see those annoying, overhyped advertisements of the guys standing next to their fancy cars or flying in their private jets. I'm not like that. I like to let the results stand for themselves and let you decide. My goal is 3% per month on average. Here's a look at how I did for the full complete last year. I trade with real money, with trading account with my clients. Each week we place live trades together. The paycheck system we use, and I'm going to talk about today, made $37,000 in our $100,000 account. That was an average of 3.1% per month. Now, you're not going to win every single month. I'm averaging 3% per month. So out of last year's 12 months, I had 8 winning months and 4 losing months. 37% return, just under a 60% win rate, and my average winner was 1,000 and my average loser was 1,000. Okay? So those are some real numbers that you can kind of ponder. Now, I've been again teaching this to students since 2016. And one of my recent students sent me this email in December. He said, "Hey, Ron, I just want to send a quick email to thank you and your team for the SPX Paycheck course back in September. I've been using the method and tracking my performance and thought you'd like to see the results. I entered my first 35 Delta trade on September 21st, 23, with only $5,000 in my margin account. Now, less than 3 months later, I'm already up 24%. Thanks again. I'll be teaching this method to my retire in-laws to help them grow their account in retirement." I love to hear that. And there's also a lesson in there for you. You don't need to dedicate $100,000 to this. You can start small while you learn and practice. It builds up very quickly. For example, if you start with just $5,000 and you average 3% per month, compounded over 15 years, that puts you over $1 million. And if you started with 25,000, you'd be near a million after 10 years. You're looking at some serious money. Now, clearly, if you have more than $5,000 or $25,000, you're going to get there a lot faster. Now, some of my clients were kind enough to share their photo and their results with you, and we're going to talk about a few of them today in detail. Now, these are real people just like you. As I teach you the system today and share their stories, I want you to pay close attention because you might find you're in a very similar position now as they were when they first started. My name again is Ron Wheeler, and I'm the options trading manager here at VectorVest. I've been trading now for 27 years. Now, when I first started out, I was a commodities trader. I traded things like corn and wheat and the S&P index and all that kind of stuff. And for my first couple of years, I, like a lot of traders, had mostly losses. And the reason I was losing is because I was trading in a way that required me to be right to make money. I.e., if I bought something, it had to go up. If I sold something short, it had to go down. If I was wrong, I lost money. It was as simple as that. Now, that's step number 1 of being a good trader, figuring out direction. Step 2 is dealing with money management, right? It's no good to be 90% right if every winning trade you're making $100, but on all the losers you're losing $1,000. That ain't going to help you. So there's that constant balance of being right and managing the money properly. It's not easy. It's something that every new trader struggles with. Eventually, I became good at it. I'll admit, I had the help of some of the industry's finest traders to help me with this. I worked in the industry as a computer person, as an IT person. So I had a lot of great traders. Now, I continued on being a commodities trader, doing a lot of day trading. In my capacity for the company, I eventually became part of the education team as I transitioned into trading full time. One of our clients who I had talked to quite frequently was actually a hedge fund trader out of the Midwest. And he was going to be in town and he said, "Hey, Ron, I want to stop by the office and meet all you guys. Is that cool?" I said, "Yeah." I knew that he had traded options. I was not an options fan. I didn't like options. Options were kind of complicated, and I knew that you could, I just didn't have a lot of success with options. That's the bottom line. Didn't like them. Well, when he came to the office, he kind of sat me down. He's like, "Look, I know you don't like options, but let me show you kind of what we do at the institutional level." In short, he showed me kind of the secret to how you trade options correctly. He showed me how I could set up my trades where I could make money even if I was wrong on direction. He showed me using the same trades how I could lock in risk and create really good risk reward scenarios. Think of the pressure that takes off of you. The trade locks in your risk perfectly. It can make money even if you're wrong on direction. That's beautiful. Okay. He got me really interested in options. I continued to day trade, but I started adding options into my trades after that moment. And probably about 15 years ago now, I transitioned into being a primary options trader because I could do it a lot more laid off. I'd have to sit in front of my screen for 8 hours a day. And it's something I could do and make the same amount of money in a more passive approach. So, what I'm going to do today is I'm going to share that with you, the journey that I took. I'm going to show you the exact system I use that helps generate these types of returns. I'm going to show you case studies and examples of our clients who are doing this. I'm going to show you the system so if you learn and follow strategies, you can do the same. Now, stay with me to the end because I put together a little checklist to help you plan out your trade. It's a PDF. We'll put it right in the handout section. Go to webinar, drop it right in there. You can click on it, print it out. But just do me a favor. Remind me when we get to the Q&A section at the end because a lot of times I forget after about an hour. Okay? All right. Why is this such an important topic? Well, without an income system, it's on you, and that creates a number of problems for us. If you're not retired, it keeps us stuck in a situation where we have to work in order to live. Whether you got a lot of money or no money at all, concerns about finances are one of the leading causes of stress. Worrying about whether we'll have enough or if we're going to run out of money, that can have a huge impact on your life, your health, your relationship. And if you're already retired, you might be watching your savings get depleted faster than you can fill it, especially with how much prices have gone up recently. If things don't improve, you may fear you'll continue to have losses that draw down your account. You might even fear you'll have to give up on investing and go back to work. Worst case scenario, you'll run out of money during retirement. Now, with a system that helps you generate income, things are a lot different. And I think this is probably one of the most important points of the webinar. So pay attention, write this down. In order to be financially free, your main need is income. To be financially free, you need to learn to generate enough income from your investments that covers your expenses and lifestyle needs. So let me say it again. In order to become financially free, you need to learn to generate enough income from your investments to cover your expenses and lifestyle needs. Whether you're still working or retired, the ability to generate income from your investments is one of the most empowering skill sets you can have. Because when you have the ability to generate income from your investments, your life can change. If you're still working, you can increase your earning capacity. It's like having a second job. If you're retired, you can have a consistent source of income as if you quit your job, but they kept paying you. It's like a tap you can turn on whenever you want. This allows you to do the things you want to do now and when you retire. When you got a system to help you generate income, it can actually help you retire younger. So as I said, I believe this is one of the most important points of the webinar. So I'll say it again. When the income from your investments exceeds your living expenses, you become financially free or have the ability to retire. For example, Brian's a client of ours who's a great example of how easy you can become proficient at drawing in from an income from the market, even if you don't want to invest a lot to begin with. Brian said he had some health problems and needed a way to supplement his income. By using the options paycheck system, he was able to generate $23,000 in profit starting with just $6,000. He achieved a 100% winning trade rate in 10 months, 31 of 31 winning trades using our basic system. Now, the key point here is this. It's not that he had beginner's luck. It was the result of following the system. It's the system that helped Brian get those 31 of 31 winning trades and create that $23,000 in profit, starting with just $6,000. Now, the first thing you need to know to take control of your returns, it's a bit of a strategic mindset shift. You're either going to continue being the gambler where you lose more than you win, or, and this is the shift that I took, you're going to become an option seller and win more than you lose. Being an option seller is the way you can make consistent income each month, and it allows you to win even when you're wrong. Now, the reason you want to be the casino or the house is that number one, the house always wins. Number two, the house always wins because they control and stack probability in their favor. Now, our options paycheck system is built around you stacking the odds massively in your favor. So make a note of this. In order to control your returns and your results, you need to know how to stack probability in your favor. And the obvious question is, how do we do it? Well, the first step is that shift from being the buyer of options to being the seller. So let me explain. Bruce is a great example of that shift from gambling on stocks to being the casino and controlling and stacking probability in his favor. He said prior to working with us, he had mainly taken stock tips from his broker. Now, he focused on our SPX income system, and this is our most basic trading system, as he's not the most technical person in the world. But in the time that he has been working with us, he had grown his account from 100,000 to 497,000 in 3.5 years. He's achieving a 74% win percentage simply by following the rules of the options paycheck system. And the whole thing takes him around 15 minutes a day. So let me show you how this works. Here's an example of a typical trade you've been taught to make, very similar to what I did when I started. You find a stock you like, you think it's going to go up, so you either buy shares of it or you buy a call. Now, why do you buy a call option? Well, very simply put, in the options world, a call gives you the right to buy stock. It's basically, if you think a stock's going to go up, you buy a call. It gives you the right to buy the stock at a certain price, right? But what ended up happening a lot of times? Either the stock doesn't go up, it doesn't go up enough, and the call you bought ends up expiring worthless. Has that ever happened to you? Yes? Well, what's the problem that's causing you to lose? Most people feel maybe they picked the wrong stock. Maybe it was the wrong option strike price, the wrong option expiration. But let's talk about the real problem. If you've been losing money or had more losers than winners with other systems, it's not your fault. It's because most of the systems on the planet teach you to be on the wrong side of the trade. You're taught to buy an option. But as a buyer, the probabilities are not on your side. And for most people, they end up buying and losing and buying and losing and buying and losing. Our options paycheck system teaches you a new way of thinking. You need to be a seller and not a buyer. This is how you get ahead of everyone else. This is how you put probability on your side. It's how you win even if you're wrong. So let's take a closer look at selling options. Now, as a buyer, a typical trade gives you a 50-50 chance to be a winner. Because when you buy, the only way you make money is if the stock moves in your direction. So instead of having a buyer's mentality, we're going to have a seller's mentality. Instead of hoping a stock goes up, as a seller, you're going to strategically set up your trade using probability. Probability will tell you where the stock is not likely to go. So instead of needing the stock to go in your direction, you can pick a price which basically says, as long as the stock doesn't go down to here, I can make money. Now think about that. You can pick a price below the stock, right? The stock is trading at $203 a share. We're picking 195. If the stock goes up, you make money. If it stays sideways, you make money. The stock can even come down a little bit and you still make money. Right from the very beginning, probability is in your favor. And in some of our trades, we can even increase that more. You can choose even a lower price, which gives you a bigger area where you can be right. We do a lot of trades that start off with a 70% chance of success, and you can only do this as an option seller. As a seller, you're putting the probability of success in your favor, and this is the definition of an income trade. An income trade is one where you can make money even if you are wrong on direction. Now, Bruce, by the way, continues to trade with me every week, In fact, he posted recently on our private group and said, another day of trading on the beach. Got my eyes on AMC and a cold beer. Life's good. Thank you, VectorVest and Ron, for giving us the tools to do what we do from anywhere. That's a great picture of being financially free. Now, Mike was someone who dabbled with options but lost, he said, on each of his trades. Have you ever been there? You know how frustrating that's got to be to lose on each of your trades? Eventually, he gave it up. He tried to learn more about options, but still, he said he never felt comfortable he knew what he was doing. It's because he didn't have any set criteria. All this options knowledge, but no place to understand it, how to use it right. So we worked together, Mike and I taught him the options paycheck system of being an option seller. And he said he became like an income machine. After he learned the system, he immediately went out and said he had 17 out of 19 winning trades with a profit of over $12,000 in 4 months. The key lesson here is this, that going from buyer to seller, or as I like to call it, gambler to the house, that turned his situation around. He was even so proud of his results, he sent me a spreadsheet. Take a look at the profit column. How many profits there are compared to losses, right? That's pretty typical. Now notice the number of days to close the trades. We got 7, we got 2, we got 7, 7, 10, 7, 10. Couple shorter ones, 3, 2, 4. The average length of his trade is about 7 to 10 days. That's also typical, okay? That's exactly what we're looking at. Now, he's pulling in about $1,000 every 7 to 10 days. In fact, if you're like Mike and a lot of our students, you could begin trading the S&P, which is the index that tracks the S&P. That involves only one trade per week and has averaged about 2.3% per month over the last 8 years. The odds are stacked in your favor on these trades. You're not looking for one big home run trade to become a millionaire overnight. You're growing your account steadily each year. And that's really the key takeaway. You know, a home run trade looks good, but it's the singles that win the games. These singles are what will enable you to never run out of money and be able to do all the things that you want to do. Now, you've seen by flipping from buyer to seller, you can stack the odds significantly in your favor. Now, we're going to stack the odds even further by understanding and capitalizing on the 3 most common buyers or gamblers' mistakes. Mistake number 1 is that option buyers choose unrealistic strikes. They choose strikes that are so far away, the stock has no chance of hitting it. Let me explain. Here's a stock. Let's say someone's bullish on the stock. A mistake that a lot of option buyers make is this. They buy a call way above the stock price. What you're basically saying when you do this is this. The stock is $216 a share. I want to buy the stock at $230. You are not going to make any real money in the options world unless that stock goes from $216 to over $230 a share. You are setting yourself up right from the start of the trade at a huge disadvantage. Well, why is that a huge disadvantage? Because it's very difficult for the stock to go up $17 or $15 a share. Well, why do people do it? They do it because these options are cheap. Instead of spending $1,000 for an option, they spend $50. They treat it like a lottery ticket. And most of the time, they end up losing. Okay? You don't want to do that. Now, what we want to do is we want to sell those options because there's always going to be buyers out there buying them. You may as well be the one who sells it to them. When we sell that option, that gives us a high probability of winning. For those of you that have traded options before, think about it this way. Every time an option expires with no value, the option seller wins. Okay? Now, there's people that do the same thing with puts. They buy puts way below the price of the stock. They think the stock's going to go down, so they buy a put $15, $20 below the price. Now, they're not going to make any real money unless the stock actually does it, right? They do it because, again, it's cheap. Or maybe they own the stock and they're buying cheap insurance, okay? Listen, it doesn't matter why they're doing it. There's always going to be buyers out there who are buying these options. You may as well be the one who sells it to them. Because when you sell them these options, It gives you a 60 to 90% probability of success right from the start of the trade. Now, the second thing that buyers do is they make their expiration date too close to the current date. It's like when you go to the grocery store and you see a piece of steak on the discount rack. Yes, it's cheap, but that's because it expires that day. You got to go home and cook it or it spoils. Same is true for options. Here's what you see happens to the price of an option in relation to how close we are to expiration. Up here, you're 180 days from expiration. The option's losing its value until it gets to 0 when it expires. Now, notice that it was a really slow, gradual decline, all until you get about right here where my little arrow's pointing, right? In the last 45 days of an option's life, the time value evaporates very quickly, becomes exponential. Now, the option has disintegrated by at least half of its time value. Well, unfortunately, this is where a lot of option buyers love to buy their options because they're very inexpensive, right? They've given up all their time value. Well, that's okay. We're going to take advantage of that as an option seller, and we're going to be selling in that window instead of buying. Now, to be more specific, we sell our options 21 to 45 days to expiration. Now, I want you to put this little tidbit in your memory banks. We sell options 21 to 45 days to expiration, but our average trade lasts 7 to 10 days. I want you to keep that in your memory because we don't let options expire. We get out of them before expiration. Okay? We don't just let trades expire. We get out before that. We sell 21 to 45 days. Our average trade length is only 7 to 10. Now, let me put this in another term for you. Here's a stock. It was Home Depot. Great looking graph. It's from a few years ago, but it doesn't matter. Let's say you're bullish. You go out there, you buy an option that expires in about 40 days, right? Here's the problem. As the stock goes in your favor, maybe, the option is exponentially losing its value. You're in a race. Can the stock make up for all of this loss in value by expiration? You know, you're holding your breath. You're waiting. Come on, man. Get up there. Get up there, Home Depot. The option's losing its value. I need you to rally. I need you to rally now. You're putting probability against you. The option seller has that decay working for them because the chances are that option is ultimately going to expire with no value. There's always going to be people out there buying these options that have expiration dates too close. You may as well be the one who sells it to them. Let them gamble. That's fine. They need the casino. You be the casino. Now, the third mistake that a lot of option buyers make is they pay too much. They buy what's called an overpriced option. Let me show you what I'm talking about here. This is, by the way, not a lot of people realize this. This is a very important, probably one of the most important ones. You got two stocks at the top here. They're basically the same price, within about 12 cents of each other, right? Even though the stocks are the same price, I want you to look at the value of the option premium. Over on the left, that's $910 for a call. Over on the right, it's $180. And I'm not trying to trick you here, okay? Stock prices are the same. The expiration date is using is the same. The strike price, the $75 call, is the exact same. It's the same. All across the board, it is the same. Here's the difference. Over on the left, that option has extremely high implied volatility. That option on the left, people that buy that option are paying too much. Well, what's the big deal, right? Who cares? It's only money. I got a $100,000 account. It don't matter if I paid $900 for an option. I got enough capital for it. It's not about that. Watch what happens to that option. Let's simulate both stocks go up $8 a share. Okay? It's a good move. $8 a share over the next 4 weeks. Look at what happens to the value of the option on the left versus the value of the option on the right. See that big green thing on the right? That's money. That's good. See the red on the left? That's loss. That's bad. The stock went up $8 a share. You would have lost money on that trade on the left. You would have made about a 300% return with the trade on the right. Why did the guy on the left lose? Because he simply paid too much premium. That was not a good option to buy. It was overpriced. What we're going to do is we're going to seek those options out that are overpriced and we are going to sell them. Okay? When we find these expensive, overpriced options, we are going to be able to stack more probability in our direction and we are going to extremely limit our risk on the trade. Sell these expensive, overpriced options all day long because it stacks probability on our side even more. I'll explain that as we go forward. Now, Bob, he's got one of the most interesting stories I've heard. He said prior to working with us, he was making a bunch of the mistakes we talk about, and he said it cost him dearly. In fact, he ended up either broke or bankrupt 3 times. In his own words, came close to living under a bridge. The options paycheck system helped Bob turn his situation around in as little as 4 months. He said he learned to turn these mistake liabilities into strategies to control and stack probability in his favor. In 4 months, Bob grew his account by 71%, and he said he achieved a 79% winning trade percentage. Listen, in order to control your returns and your results, you have to know how to control and stack probability in your favor. Well, let me ask you guys a question. Have any of you ever made any of those buyer's mistakes? Do me a favor. Just give me a shout out in the chat window. Has anyone made those buyers or seller or buyer's mistakes? Just give me a quick yes or no. That's all you got to do. I'm just kind of curious for those of you that have traded options before. Yes, 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 yeah. Mark, Lynn, Danielle, Abby. Yeah, listen, we've all made them. It's nothing to be embarrassed about. We've all made those mistakes. Like I told you early on, I dabbled with options myself. I was very similar to Mike. You know, I placed a lot of options trades, didn't have very much success at all because I was making mistakes like this. Listen, it's not our fault. We were just taught a broken system or we weren't really properly trained at all. So now that you know you want to be an option seller, I want to be able to look at how to trade options with very little risk. Because when a lot of people hear the whole idea of, selling options, right? Or they think it's risky. However, the options paycheck system uses a very low risk strategy for selling options. And this is why it's a core strategy we teach all our retirees. You know, most people that have heard of option selling have probably heard this where, one bad trade can wipe out the gains from all of your winners. Listen, this is true if you're not trading the right system or if you're trading a bad system. Okay? One trade can wipe out a bunch of winners. And when you suffer those large losses, it's very hard. It takes a long time to recover. But when you do it right with the right system in place, you're going to have a built in protection plan. You take care of risk management before you even open the trade. Now, when you can select stocks, set up your trades in ways that reduce risk, this is what's going to allow you to preserve and grow your capital. Now, like I said earlier, home runs look good, but singles are what win the game. Now, one of the most common questions I get asked is, can I trade this from an IRA? Yes, you can. In fact, a client of ours, John, grew his IRA over 112% in 1 year using our options paycheck system. John had tried and struggled with trading for some time before working with us. He learned to follow the system and turned his inconsistent results into predictable monthly income. In 12 months, he enjoyed 85% winning trades, and he said he more than doubled the size of his IRA while spending no more than 15 minutes per day on his trading. Now, the options paycheck system makes sure you reduce your risk before you even open the trade. First, we choose stocks that are low risk. We have a very specific criteria, but in general, if we're bullish, we start by focusing on good stocks that are already rising in price, similar to what you see here. Then, instead of selling naked, we're going to sell with protection. So let me show you how to do this. A traditional option selling system leaves you with all of this risk down here. The options paycheck system shrinks your risk to this. Let me show you how this works. Now, again, this is a graph of a beautiful stock that you'd like to be bullish on, right? Traditionally, people would go out and they buy the stock right here. Or maybe they buy a call. And they're not crazy options call buyers. They buy a call that matches the stock price. That's great. Now, what we're going to do, we're not the buyer anymore. Now we're the seller. Okay? What we are going to do when we think a stock goes up, we are going to go below the price of the stock and we are going to sell a put. Now, when you sell a put, you are going to get paid. You're going to receive premium. So the stock's trading at 137.57. I sell a 135 put, and I am going to receive premium. I'm going to get paid. Example, $200. If I did this on 10 contracts, I get paid $2,000. Now that's great, right? Sounds great. Hey, I just got paid $2,000. Can't get any better than that. Well, here's what they don't tell you. And I see a lot of this right now on Facebook, by the way, about, hey, here's how you can sell an option and make $2,000 in 5 seconds. What they don't tell you is when you sell an option, you are left with all this risk, especially a put. Because when you sell the option, you are technically writing a contract. And that contract says this: you are now willing to buy the stock for $135 a share. That's what selling a put does. It gives you, the option writer or seller, the obligation to possibly buy the stock for 135 bucks. Well, what happens if all of a sudden something crazy happens and the stock opens for 100 bucks? You may be forced to buy the stock for 135 at a $100 stock. You just got killed on that trade. Now, what if you just bought the stock? You bought 100 shares at 138 and the stock opens up at 100. Same thing. You got crushed. Okay? We don't want to do that. What we need to do is we need to limit that downside risk. So what we're going to do in the same transaction, we are going to go below the price where we sold a put, and we are going to buy a put as insurance. Now, that insurance policy does have a cost. It's going to cost me, in this case, let's say 100 bucks. When I sold the option, I received 200. When I buy the insurance, it costs me 100. The net result of that trade is I got paid $100 to place the trade. If I did 10 contracts, I get paid 1,000 bucks. Now, let's talk about this from an options perspective. What this trade does, when I sell the option, it comes with the potential obligation to buy the stock for 135. When I buy the put as insurance, it comes with the right to sell the stock to somebody else for 130. So no matter what happens, the worst case scenario is I have to buy the stock for 135 and I can turn around and sell it to somebody else for 130, taking a $5 loss per share. Now, I want you to understand something here. I've been doing this type of options trading for 15 years. Not once in 15 years have I ever had to perform that type of transaction. I've never actually taken the stock. I've never actually had to turn it around and use my insurance policy, because this kind of gets back to our core, right? Remember how I told you we sell options with a 21 to 45 day expiration, but we're out of the trade in 7 to 10 days? We don't take these trades to expiration. Where this type of thing happens is the option expiration. That's where you end up taking stock, exchanging stock, and all that stuff. We don't do that. Now, what you might ask is, well, Ron, if you don't do that, then why is the insurance important? Well, insurance is important for main reason any insurance is important, right? When I get in my car, I don't plan on crashing my car, but just in case I do, it's nice to have that insurance. In the option world, insurance also protects you from volatility. It acts as a little hedge if the stock goes against you. It's just really, really nice to have. Okay? It's just really, really nice to have. Okay? Now, think about what this trade can do. All right? If the stock goes up, you win. The option spread that you sold is going to decline in value. You sell it for 1,000 bucks. As the stock goes up, it very quickly starts to deteriorate. You sold it for 1,000. We can exit the trade later by paying a little bit of money to exit the trade. If the stock goes sideways, guess what happens? Right? Same thing. The options deteriorate. Now here's the kicker. As long as the stock stays above 135, we stay in the trade and we still have a chance to make money. If the stock drops below 135, we are going to exit the trade and take a small proportional loss. Okay? That's a big thing. We enter the trades and we exit the trades, just like you would do if you bought a stock, right? You might have a stop in place, you have a profit target. Same idea with an option spread. It's no different. All right. Now, here's what I want to do. I want to break this down into a couple trades that I actually did with you. Okay? I'm going to be showing you some numbers, so I definitely want you to pay attention to this. First and foremost, we go by market direction. If the market is bullish, we want you to place bullish income trades. Now, here's a little tip. We're going to pick the strike with at least a 60% probability of winning. So here's a graph of PHM, home builder, right? Pulte Group. This was last year. Nice big uptrend, beautiful stock. Let's zoom in. Now, here's how options work. If you don't know this, this is what an option can give you. PHM is trading at $76, right? I think the stock's going to go up. I go out there 21 to 45 days. This happens to be probably about 25 days away. I'm going to look at puts below the price of the stock. Now, when I go to my options broker, I look at an option chain, and every option strike has a probability associated with it. The $75 put tells me we have a 56% chance of staying above that to expiration. So if I sell a $75 put on this $76 stock, I have a 56% chance of making money. If I go down to B, which is a $73 strike, I have a 73% chance of staying above that, 73% chance of making money. If I go down to here at 70, I have a 91% chance of staying above that, 91% chance of making money. Okay? Now, just so you guys kind of understand this, I don't want to baffle you. I don't want to go crazy. These statistics are not like voodoo. They're not proprietary. I'm going to show you guys this real quick. This is a screenshot from my Thinkorswim account. This happens to be an option chain. This happens to be IBM. Right now, IBM is trading for $231. If I look at $230 right here on my option chain, it tells me that we have a 46% chance of that option being in the money. That means we have a 46% chance of this stock falling below 230. If I go down to 225, it's got a 38% chance. Those numbers are not some kind of weirdness. They are statistics which basically every option broker out there gives you. Use them. Okay? Now, based on what I told you earlier, right? Where we want to pick these things, what expiration do you think would best serve? I'm sorry, not what expiration. What probability do you think would best serve you? A 56% probability, a 73, or a 91%? What do you think? Okay. Herman, you're first. You said B, 73%. Mark, you say A, 56%. Now, a couple of you are saying 91%. All right. I like where everybody's head is at. Let's talk about this. First and foremost, 91%, that does sound great. I agree. The problem with a 91% trade is 91% trades have very, very terrible risk reward. A 91% trade is one of those trades where you make $100 when you win and you lose 1,500 when you're wrong. Yes, you're going to make money 9 out of 10 times, but you're going to overall lose. 56%, I don't mind 56%, but I like to work with a little more probability. What I want to do is I want to stay in the 60 to 70% range in my probability. In this particular trade, I'm going to choose the 73%. 91, the risk is too much. 56, I don't have as much probability as I want, so I'm going to go with B. B is just right. Okay? Now, in doing this, by choosing B, what I'm going to do on this trade is I'm going to do something called a bull put spread. In one transaction, I am going to sell a $73 put, and I'm going to buy a $70 put. This is called a vertical bull put credit spread. Now, when I do this, I'm going to receive money for selling the 73, and I'm going to pay money for buying the 70. In this particular transaction, let me break out my calculator here. I took in about $1,750 in premium. So here's how this trade works. When I enter the trade, I am getting paid money. In this case, $1,750. Okay? When I exit the trade, I am going to take some of that $1,750 and give it back to the broker to buy my way out of the trade. Now, in this case, I bought my way out of the trade for like 875 bucks. Okay? I took in 1750 when I started. When I exited, I paid out 875. I get to keep the difference, which is 875. My goal for this trade is to make 50%. So if I take in $1,000 when I enter the trade, my goal is to exit the trade by paying the $500. I get to keep the difference at 500 bucks. Okay? This is how, in this case, we exit the trade in 3 days. Why did it take 3 days? Because the stock went directly in my direction. Those options really started losing their value, and I was able to get out quick. Now, let's flip this around. When the market is bearish, I place bearish trades. Good example of this is Target. Target happened to be last year in a nice downtrend. It broke below a prior support level. Perfect. Let's zoom in closer. Now, the difference on Target is I think that Target is going to go down. It's a bearish stock. I think it's going to go this way, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip the script. I'm going to look at options up here now, and I want to see where we can stay below. Can we stay below 135? Is it going to be 140? Is it going to be 145? That is going to be determined by two factors: probability and risk on the trade. Okay? So when I look at my options broker, here's what I see. If I sell a 135, we have a 64% chance of staying below that until the trade expires. If I sell a 140, I have a 76% chance of staying below that till the trade expires. If I sell a 145, I have an 85% chance of staying below that before the trade expires. Now, kind of knowing what we know now, let me know in the chat, which would you pick? Which option do you think is going to be there? All right, Mark, you started off by saying B at 76%. So far, nobody has said 85%. That's good. That means you got the idea of risk. Paul, you said A, 64, or you said A, 85%. So I got 185%. There's nothing wrong with that. Listen, it's all learning right now. A couple of you are saying 64%. So the majority of you are between B and C. Now, A is too much. There's too much risk there. Okay? You want to stay in the 60 to 70% range. Now, for those of you that said C, you are absolutely right. For those of you that said B, you are also absolutely right. Now, why in this case would it be B or C? Well, number one, I told you I want a minimum of 60% probability. So that says B, or that says C is correct, okay? I want a minimum of 60%. C is right. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to look at the trade, and I'm going to look at the risk. If the risk stays in my zone, I am going to sell the option that gives me the most probability. Now, if you remember earlier, we talked about expensive, overpriced options. When the options are very, very expensive, a lot of times you can get in to this 76% range. So both of these B and C were right. But in this particular case, I was able to increase my probability a little bit farther to 76%. So B and C are both technically right. So in this case, this trade is called the bear call spread. Bear, because it's bearish. I think the market's going to go down. Now, calls, because I'm using calls. I'm selling a 140 call and simultaneously buying a 145 call. Okay? Now, when I take this trade, I'm getting paid around $1,530. So my goal is for this stock to stay below 140 until the option spread that I sold for 1,530 now becomes worth about 765. And when that happens, I exit. Well, that's exactly what happened. It happened in 7 days this time. And take a look. The stock really didn't go down very much. It stayed kind of sideways for the most part for about 7 days and then finally dropped on the 7th day, only about $3 a share. But that was enough for me to get out of that trade with 765 in profit. Now, for those of you that are still kind of scratching your head here, you got to get used to a couple different things as an option seller, okay? Option selling is kind of the reverse of buying, right? I mean, obviously, selling is the opposite of buying. But when you buy something, you pay up front. And the idea to make money is you buy low and you sell high. Well, in the selling option world, we're going to sell the option, or if you don't want to think of selling and buying, how can you sell something you don't? Listen, I get that. Don't think of it that way. Think of when you enter the trade. Okay? So if I was buying stock, when I enter the trade, I'm entering at hopefully a low price to exit at hopefully a higher price. When you're a seller, we're entering at a high price and we're exiting hopefully at a lower price. Then we can keep the difference. I know that's kind of a tough one for some people to kind of get their heads around. I get it. It's kind of a different logic there. All right. Now, another client I worked with is Jim. He said prior to working with me, he told me his results were inconsistent. He felt unsatisfied. He kept thinking there had to be something else out there that was better. You ever felt that way? Like there's something more out there? Jim said he wanted to find a way to supplement what he was doing and provide more of a regular income with a higher probability of success. After learning the system of being an option seller, he told me he had 21 winners in a row, returned about 76% in about 8 months, and his average trade lasted about 8 days. Can you imagine how much that must feel from being inconsistent to where you rip off 21 winners in a row? Well, that was Jim. What about you? What would an income system like this allow you to do in your life? Give me some answers in the chat window. What would something like this, if you did it and it worked, you got that average of 3% per month, what would that do for you in your life? Allow you to travel more? For those, there's a couple of you that were still working, most of you retired, but what would that allow you to do? Retire earlier? Just give you more flexibility? Travel, Lynn says. Mark C, retire sooner. Exactly. Extra income really opens your life up to a lot more possibilities. That's the beautiful thing. Now, we said before that buying is gambling and selling is about controlling the risk and putting the odds of success in your favor to generate income. The options paycheck system makes sure you have a guaranteed maximum risk. And it all goes back to whether you want to be the gambler or the casino, because remember, the house always wins in the end. Being an option seller is the way you can make consistent income every month. It allows you to do it safer with a higher probability of success than just simply buying and selling stocks. Now, let's put this together. I want to show you how you can have a bulletproof system, which you can do in as little as 15 minutes a day. Now, my students who have implemented the system have told me this is probably one of the most important things they learned. Why? Because the biggest question I get is how much time is it going to take me? And listen, it's a great question. Here's the challenge. There's thousands of stocks out there. You got to be able to find the right stock, use the right strategy, when do you get in, what expiration, what price, what if it goes against you, when do you get out? And sometimes it feels like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack because there's so much information out there, you don't know where to look. You go from guru to guru, right? You spend hours putting trades together. Without a system, though, you're trading blind. It's like a mouse running through a maze, bumping into wall after wall, kind of like I did in the corn maze on Friday of last week. That was fun times. Really enjoyed that. It's stressful. It's disheartening. You don't know where to go. With the right system, though, you can identify good trades, get reliable income in as little as 15 minutes a day. But to get that, you need a system. and not just any system, a straight line system, a simple way to know when to place your trades, how to find your trades, how to set them up, and how to manage them. So let me walk you through the pieces of the options paycheck system and in the order they go in. No one else teaches option selling this way. This is like the secret sauce. There are 6 pieces, the top 5 build on each other, and then the 6th kind of ties them all together. At the top of the system is market direction. A lot of traders ignore this and just go out and start placing trades. We're going to be placing trades that are either bullish or bearish at one time. We're not placing both, one at a time, depending on which way the market's going. For instance, right now the market's bullish. I have bullish trades on. Okay? By doing this, you're narrowing that focus. So you're not looking at everything. You're looking at one of 2 possible scenarios. Our paycheck system has a timing signal built in that we use to tell us the market's direction. Now, after you know the direction of the market, you want to find stocks that are highly likely to move in the same direction. So just trading the stocks you know or listening to the gurus on TV, this is not the best choice for this. What you want to do is find good stocks already in uptrends when the market's rising, bad stocks that are in downtrends when the market's falling. Now, our paycheck system saves you a lot of time in a couple ways. We look at 2 main things, fundamentals and price trend. We have pre-built searches in VectorVest that we use that are digging through all the data that the institutions throw at you. Now, once you have your list of stocks, you want a way to select the best ones for options trading. Now, earlier, we looked at how big of an effect volatility had on options price. We focus on selling options with that volatility in the upper end of the range, but we don't stop there. To take even more risk out of the trade, we filter out those with upcoming earnings events because that can lead to a big move in the market. We also make sure our expiration date is in the sweet spot to capitalize on that decay. You can use tools from your broker to help. We happen to have a proprietary search tool which finds these things for us really in a matter of seconds. Now you got to set up your trade. Remember, we pick the one that has the highest probability of success based on those percentages from the individual strike price and maintaining the best possible risk to reward ratio. We have a cutoff that we use. Okay, that's how we set up the trade. Now, before you place the trade, you need to know what to do if the trade goes for you or against you. I don't want you to be sitting in a trade feeling frozen like a deer in the headlights because you don't know what to do. Our paycheck system has rules to take profits at predefined levels. These can be set up in advance with your broker. If a trade goes against you, we have an adjustment strategy that helps bring in more income to minimize losses. We also know exactly when to exit a trade, and I can set that order up in advance with my broker so it happens automatically and very unemotionally for me. Now, lastly, you want a way to do this quickly. You don't want to be spending all day on this process. So you need a tool that allows you to do these things. It should be something you're comfortable using. Now, some brokers have tools that are way better than others. You might find some paid tools to be very effective. For example, I like to use our tools from VectorVest called Options Pro, and that saves me a lot of time. Now, earlier we talked about Mike and Jim. Each of them is getting the results in about 15 minutes a day. Well, so is Hugh. He told me one of his biggest struggles was finding a system that was efficient and worked. He said he sought the proper balance between trading and free time. He didn't have a proper work-life balance. Are you like that too? Do you spend too much time on doing things you don't want to do and not enough time doing things you want to? Now that Hugh has learned the options paycheck system of selling options, he has more confidence, more free time, and he's able to have more fun. He said in his first 43 trades, he had 38 winners and returned over $26,000 in 4 months. So I want you to do this. I want you to take your pen. I want you to put a little star next to the part of the system where you're really good at. For example, if you have a quick way to find a list of stocks likely to go in the direction of the market, put a little star there. But if there's an area where something isn't working or you still need to do a little work, put a frowning face there. So for example, if you don't know how to manage and repair a trade, put a frown there. I don't want you to overthink it. Take about 10 seconds. Give yourself a star or a frown. Now, I'm willing to bet only 1 in 100 trades will ever know how to do this. So I want you to share with me. Let me know. What areas do you need to work on? Type in the chat. What areas do you need to work on? Trade management. Hey, trade management. I see a couple, Lynn and Mark. You guys were the first ones in there. Trade management. Trade management is critical because if you don't sell options right, you can obviously set yourself up for big losses. You got to be careful. Trade management again. Stock selection. Now I'm seeing them roll in a little bit more. Abby, you also trade management. Mike, you say option selection, option setup. Okay. Listen, it ultimately doesn't matter where you need work. Keep in mind of those areas where you need to work. Okay. We need to get it to where you don't need work anymore. Stars or smiley faces all the way down. Because once you do that, you will be able to make money and do it in less than 15 minutes a day. So listen, I don't know why you came to today's webinar, but I'm going to make some guesses here. Maybe you haven't really known what to do and you feel like you've been trading blindly, bumping from one wall into the next. It's left you with inconsistent results. You make some money, then give it all back on your next trade. Just like Jim said he did before he learned our options paycheck system. Maybe you've been suffering through loss after loss, and those small losses are just killing your portfolio. Maybe the money coming in isn't exceeding the money going out. Maybe you're just not where you want to be. Now, today, I showed you the secret to fixing that. And it's a secret I bet only 1 in 100 investors will ever know, and now you're one of them. You saw it's possible to win even if you're wrong. You can do it with very little risk. It's even less risk than buying and selling stocks. And you saw the system to get consistent income every month. And I showed you just a few of the many people who use the system every day so they never have to worry about their retirement again. You saw over and over the secret to generating consistent income is that shift from being the gambler to being the casino. Now remember, you're going to be that one investor out of 100 who knows that. That means there's 99 other investors out there who will continue to do things wrong. They're going to be making all of those buying mistakes we talked about. We can't stop them from doing it. There's always going to be those investors out there who buy options incorrectly. Let them. Let them be the gamblers. Because as long as those gamblers are there, you may as well be the casino. Because remember the old saying, the house always wins in the end. The options paycheck system teaches you how to stack probability of success in your favor, just like it did Brian and Bruce and Bob and Jim and Hugh and John. So if you're like most people, you're wondering, how do I implement the options paycheck system in my portfolio right now? Well, you have a choice. Option number one is you can choose to do nothing, stay exactly where you are. And listen, if you already have enough to retire, you're not exactly worried about running out of money or don't need extra income, then you don't need it. But if you would like to make some extra income every month, that leaves you with two other options. Option two, you can do it alone. You can try to learn how the option trades work, try to figure out the direction of the market, learn how to analyze the stocks, find the best one to trade, hope you pick the right one, you manage it correctly. Listen, if you work hard, spend hours in front of your computer, and you're willing to learn by trial and error, you might be able to pull it off. I did that, by the way. So option three is just to let me guide you through it. I've already done the hard part. I've already done option two for you. Option three is to let me walk you through each piece of the system, and in just a few weeks' time, you'll have the simple system to follow that doesn't take a lot of time. So of those three options, ask yourself what's going to be easier for you. You know, there's two types of people. Person number one is someone who dreams about their financial goals but never do anything or take any action to make them happen. Person number two is someone who's serious about your financial future. You're ready to take action when you see a good opportunity in front of you. Since you're dedicated enough to be with me to this point, I'm willing to bet you're person number two, and that makes you get qualified to get started on that first options paycheck. So let me tell you what we put together for you. Our options paycheck experience is the most comprehensive program for generating consistent income using option spreads, even if you've never done this before. This is the only implementation program of its kind that teaches the secret to generating consistent income with options because we tell you how to find the trades, set them up, manage them. That's going to help you generate income. You're going to learn how to do it safer and consistent in any type of market condition so you never fear running out of money. Now, after going through the experience, you're going to know exactly how calls and puts work, along with all the fancy terms of options, so you no longer have to fear options. We're going to give you clear signals telling you when to trade bullish or bearish, and most importantly, when not to trade. You're going to be able to quickly identify the stocks that make the best candidates for your options income trade using a rules-based approach that's going to free up a lot of time. You're going to set up an income trade that can give you a level 70% success rate, even if you've never traded an option. You're going to have a trade management plan in place prior to placing your trade that you know how to handle any situation the market throws at you. You're going to be able to confidently enter and exit trades with your broker like a pro, whether it's your first trade or your 500th trade. You're going to be able to implement a system to safely and consistently generate income. That way you can live that lifestyle you want without that fear of running out of money. Now, the course itself is 8 modules, and we make them so each module builds on the one prior. As you go through the modules, you're getting closer and closer to that end goal, which is that system for consistent income. Now, the first 2 modules, we call these the option income foundation. So for those of you that have never traded options before, listen, a lot of people try to build an income portfolio, but they base it on a weak foundation of knowledge. And we understand what it's like to learn options for the first time. We've been there. That's why it pays to learn from a team who's gone through this before. The outcome you're going to get from module 1 is you're going to know exactly how calls and puts work so you can use them in your trades. You're going to know the option terms that you need to pay attention to, which option terms you can ignore. That way you're not wasting time or getting frustrated. In module 2, you're going to learn what the spreads are that we use and how they work. You're going to be filled with all the confidence you need to start building your income system around these trades. Now that you've got that solid foundation of options knowledge, we're going to lay out the step-by-step system to placing income trades to generate your options paycheck. Each step along the way from here is going to stack probability in your favor and reduce risk. And it all starts with knowing when to trade. Here, you're going to get complete clarity on market trends. So instead of looking at all possible trade types, you're going to narrow your focus. You're going to know whether to place a bullish trade or a bearish trade, and more importantly, when not to trade. Once we know the direction of the market, we want to find stocks that are highly likely to move in the same direction. This is going to stack probability even more in your favor. The outcome from 4 is you're going to know how to quickly find the best stocks and indexes to trade that give you the highest probability. Now that you got your list of stocks, in 5, we're going to narrow it down to the best options candidates that give you the highest probability for profits. By using the rules here, you're going to make sure you're getting paid the top dollar for your trade, and you're going to make it so you can make money even if the stock doesn't go anywhere. Now that you're going to stack probability and reduce risk in module 6 by the way you set up the trade. Here, we're going to make sure the trade has the perfect combination of risk reward, and you're going to know exactly where to set those strikes. Great trades don't happen by accident. They happen because you plan them properly and you strategically set them up correctly right from the start. Now that you got your trade picked out, you ready? Module 7, we're going to teach you how to have your plan in place. That way you know what to do no matter what happens in the trade. You're not going to be frozen like a deer in the headlights. No matter what the market throws at you, you're going to know exactly how to react. That allows you to trade stress-free. And then finally, you got the best stock, you got your trade picked out, you got your management plan in place. Now we got to place the trade. We're going to break down in 8 the trade execution phase into simple steps that you can commit to muscle memory. We put everything you need into a checklist. That way you never miss a step. When someone's first starting out, it's always comforting having that security blanket to make sure you did everything right. Plus, placing trades with your broker can be intimidating. So we have walkthroughs of various brokers, but I also have some click-by-click instructions for one of the most popular brokers out there, Schwab's Thinkorswim. That's what I use. Now, before we talk about the price of the course, I want to make this course low risk. We offer a 100% money back guarantee. You can go through the entire course. And if you're not satisfied, we taught you how to profit from options, just notify us within a week of finishing the course, and you get your money back. It's completely no risk. The only ask we have is you give it your best effort. Come to the classes live or watch the recordings of the classes. I don't care which way you do it. Do the assignments, because we know if you do, you will see results. If you don't do the work, you can't get a refund. Now, the reason why I have such a tight refund policy is because I only want to attract those who are ready to jump in, do the work, and get the results. I want to attract serious investors. In order to do that, I make a policy where it says, hey, you actually have to give the course effort. Okay? I only want to attract those people who are serious about getting results. And remember, this system averages 3% per month. That's over 36% per year. And remember, it doesn't take a lot of time to do it every week. Now, I received this email from a client who took the course. Said, Ron, I'm writing to thank you for teaching the options paycheck course. I took your class last fall and wanted you to know my results for the past 10 months. I keep a journal to document every trade. So far, I profited on 239 trades out of the 350 I've taken, a 68% winning rate. I've profited over 100,000 this time. What's more exciting is since my knowledge and experience have grown in regards to taking really good risk-reward trades, I've profited over 50,000 in the last 6 weeks. My success rate has been 78% over my last 100 trades. I only take trades with a 2-to-1 or better risk-reward. Thank you for teaching this simple but effective system. You know, if I told Joe I'd give him 100 grand in exchange for his 2,000 bucks, do you think he'd take that? Would you take it? Well, I'm going to be making you a better offer here, as you're going to see in a second. Now, while I'm on this email, I also want to talk about the number of trades Joe took. In 10 months, he said he took 350 trades. Is that a lot? Is that a little? I'm going to tell you, that's a lot of trades. You don't have to trade that much. Those trades that I showed you earlier where I made the 37%, I trade on average 10 to 12 trades a month, 150 trades a year. Joe traded 350 in 10 months. The beauty about this system is you can scale it up, you can scale it down. You can place 3 trades a month if you want to. That's the beauty here. Now, before I tell you more about it, I want to point something out. It's important you understand that this is not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's not something where you should expect to become a millionaire in the next 24 hours. It's serious. It requires some effort on your part. If you're not going to commit to it, then don't do it. It's not for you. It's for serious people who take their investing seriously, who are willing to put in the time to learn the system. So if you're serious about this and ready to do the work and get the results, then the options paycheck is perfect for you. It's step-by-step training to go from option basics to a full, complete income-generating system. Just these training modules alone are worth the price of the course. But I got a couple of bonuses for you to make it even better. Bonus number 1 is what we call the mastery package. This mastery package includes module by module mastery sessions. So each week what you're going to do is you're going to watch 2 modules. You're going to watch them recorded on your own time. Then twice a week we are going to get together live to talk and discuss and answer questions about the modules. Okay? If you don't watch the live sessions, it's okay. We record them. You can watch the recordings. We're also going to do a weekly wrap-up Q&A. So that's 3 live sessions a week to help you master the package, to master the modules. You're going to get access to a private dedicated email that goes right to me and the Options Paycheck team. We're a small team. You're going to get right to me. I can answer questions very, very quickly for you. If you don't have access to VectorVest and Options Pro software, we're going to give you access to those software packages. That way you can test drive what I think are the best tools. They're not mandatory, they're not required, but we're going to give those to you through the live curriculum, so through November and part of December. Okay? With this bonus package, you're going to have the tools, the techniques, the live implementation, so you're ready to place your first income trade in the shortest time possible. And to ensure that, our second bonus is we're going to give you an implementation month. We're going to invite you to my live weekly trading sessions. Each week, you're going to watch me find, select, set up, and place my trades in real time. I'll show you how I manage my existing trades. It's a huge bonus. You're going to see the paycheck system in action. You can even follow along in your own account if you want to. I'm also going to hold live office hours twice a week. Together, we're going to walk through the system in those office hours step by step in real time. Our past students said this is one of their favorite parts of the course because that repetition really helps cement the concepts and the process for them. If you're worried about finding stocks is going to be a lot, we boil this down into something called the SPX paycheck system. This is where we take the entire course, boil it down to something you could do, I swear, in as little as 15 minutes a week. One trade on one symbol, one setup rule, one profit rule, one stop criteria. It's a simple trade to do. My teammate Brian, who you're going to hear from shortly, he taught this to his then 14-year-old daughter, and she could do the trades. For a lot of my students, this is their only system. So, as a recap of today's offer, you're going to get the complete options paycheck training modules, 8 training modules, the videos, the checklist, the cheat sheets, the quizzes, the slides, everything. The mastery package, the implementation month, the paycheck system. Total value is $54.75. So here's what I want to do. Okay, here's the opportunity. I'm going to roll up my sleeves with a couple hundred people who are serious about generating income. If you choose to be one of them, together we're going to create an income system in your portfolio, even if you've never had success with options before. So if you want to join me, have me take you by the hand and help you install this in your income system, in your portfolio, then instead of that $5,000, the early bird price for the course is $12.95. Now, I also want to do something a little special for those of you on the live presentation with me. Spend about an hour with me. So here's what I want to do just for you. If you order before the end of the webinar, instead of that $12.95, you can get it for $9.95. That means if you get the full course, the 1 year of access to the course materials, the mastery package that includes about 6-7 weeks of Options Pro and VectorVest, the implementation month, all for about $9.95. Okay? That price is only for those who register before we finish up today. Once we finish, the price goes back up to $12.95. All you got to do to order is go to www.optionspaycheck.com. Now, listen, how much of this is it costing you not to do this? I realize that $9.95 is an ask. I get that. How much are you going to put in trying to learn this on your own? How much time and energy is it going to cost you? You know, one of our former students, Greg, prior to the course, he struggled with knowing how to protect myself when the market was moving away from me. After taking the paycheck course, I feel better prepared to trade and much more confident. The first month, I made a net of 10,000 from my options trade income trading with 9 winners and 1 loser. I would absolutely recommend the course. It was well done, very educational. It's an excellent educational opportunity that I'm thankful for. Here's the key part of what Greg said. Don't let fear hold you back. You will make more in the first month than you paid to take the course. I was one of those fence sitters who didn't take this course for a long time and I saw it offered. I lost a lot by not taking this program sooner. I was very grateful and appreciative of the work I put in to make this training program successful. You know, there's a saying that the best time to plant an oak tree is 20 years ago, so you could be underneath it now enjoying the shade. Do you know when the second best time is? It's today. It's not too late to begin to prepare yourself for retirement and learn to generate income. This is going to be one of those deciding days in your life. Is it going to be the day you decide to look back and say, I could have set myself up? Or is it going to be the day you look back with regret saying, I should have done it then? Don't regret the decision you make. Don't miss the opportunity. I look forward to working with all of you in class. So go to www.optionspaycheck.com, get yourself registered now. Remember, that $9.95 price is only available while we're live on the webinar. So if you've never taken the Options Paycheck course before and you want the lowest possible price, you're looking at it. After the webinar, it'll jump back up to $12.95. So here's what I want to do. I want to open it up for a Q&A session, but before we do that, I want to cover a couple of the most important questions that we got. First, Ron, you said it's a live program. When are the live sessions? When does it start? What if I miss one? Good question. We start the course next Tuesday. Registration closes at 10 a.m. next Tuesday, and we have a live welcome session at 4:30. We get together, just make sure you know where all the materials are, know what to expect for the next basically 2 months. Then on Wednesday, we're going to do our first mastery for Module 1, Thursday Module 2, and then Friday you see the open Q&A. The masteries are all at 4:30. The Q&A through the month of November, those are all Fridays at noon. So if you are signing up right now, sometime before next week, before Wednesday, I want you to watch Module 1 and watch Module 2 before Thursday the 31st. Then we're going to get together and discuss them live. If you can't attend these live things, then don't worry about it. We record all these things. Probably half of our students don't attend the live, they just watch the recordings. You can send me an email and say, hey, Ron, I got a question about Module 2. Can you put that in the mastery package? Sure, I'll record it for you in the mastery. You can watch the recording, get your question answered. Or you can just email me and say, hey, Ron, how do I do this? Either way is fine with me. In November, we're going to teach you the 8 modules. In December, we're going to trade together. Starting November 25th, I'm going to show you SPX trading at 11 a.m. Eastern time, and then stocks at 2 p.m. We're going to do that through the month of November, or the last part of November, December, and then we're going to have office hours Tuesdays at 4:30. We're going to do live trading then, and then we're going to do Friday at noon. Now, for those who say, well, Ron, the market's actually closed on Tuesday at 4:30, right? Yes, it is. I'm going to show you how to find trades that you can place the next day. So for those of you that work during the day and you can only do this at night, I'm going to show you how you can get it done. We're going to make it happen for you. Now, how much options experience do you need? You know, there's a couple beginners in here. You're a little bit worried about, hey, do I have the experience I need? We've polled our prior attendees, and 85% of them have said you can be successful with little to no prior options experience. Join these prior graduates. Cheryl says, I've really surpassed my expectations. I don't need the money back guarantee. I tripled my investment. Frank, after taking the course, I already have a profit of $7,300. Before the course, it was a crapshoot. Now I believe in the options trades I'm doing. Cam, I've made back the initial investment so many times over. Even though it's a small part of my portfolio, it's probably the most profitable. Jake, I finally found a method of making consistent winning trades with a high probability of success. Here's some more from our most recent graduates. Neville says, thanks for a wonderful course. Within a short time, you've opened our eyes to many things. Your experience, enthusiasm, and your desire to teach comes through easily. You put a lot of thought in the training manual. Already paid for the tuition with a few Delta 35 trades. David, the Options Paycheck experience is by far the best course I've ever attended on my years with VectorVest. Since '99, you've eliminated my fear of trading options. The manner in which you present the material is truly outstanding. Ben, the attention I received for all my email questions is above and beyond what I expected. A lot of my questions were demonstrated in class, and that made my learning much easier. Great job. So again, get out there, go to optionspaycheck.com, get yourself registered for the $9.95. If you've never taken the course before, this is the lowest price you're going to find. Now's the time. Registration closes next Tuesday at 10 a.m. Get signed up. Finish off your year strong. This is something start building good income in 2025. All right, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to bring my colleague Brian in. We're going to do a Q&A session together. And do me a favor, if you're going to sign up, just give me a quick shout out in the chat box. Hey, Ron, I'm in. I'm signing up. We just want to call you out by name and let you know what's happening next.
All right. Hey, Ron, how are you doing?
Good. Can hear you loud and clear.
All right, perfect. Everybody, those of you who are signing in, of course, welcome to the group. Check your email because you'll get an email from us with all the details, all those dates and times that Ron was just talking about. It'll be in the email that you get. If you don't see it in your inbox, just check your junk or your spam folder. You should find it there. And if you do find it there, just drag it over to your inbox or mark it as not spam, because we will be sending you several emails throughout the weeks of the course to keep you updated on what's going on, when things are happening, and keep you motivated, right, throughout the course. So check your email. So Mark, I see you just typed in, Lynn typed in. So welcome to the group. Those of you who are thinking about it, let us know if you have questions in the chat. We understand it's an investment, but it is an investment well worth it that a lot of people have made over the years and are very thankful that they did. So let us know in the chat if you have questions. Couple of quick housekeeping items. The $9.95, like Ron mentioned, will be good while we're live, and then it'll go back to $12.95. Still, a lot of people have purchased it at that price and are very thankful that they did. But the $9.95 is good while we're live. And then, like Ron said, the registration closes next week, and then we can't take any more registrations after we close because Ron has his first live session that afternoon. So registration closes at 10 a.m. on Tuesday next week, and then the first live session is that afternoon. So we need to get a list of the students, make sure everybody is in that first session. All right. There's a couple of other things that we have people in the session who have taken the class before. I saw somebody in the chat say that they took the class a couple of years ago. If you've taken it over the years and you just want a refresher, which means not only do you get the recordings livened up in your university again, but you get to go through all the live sessions with Ron all over again and watch the coaching classes again during implementation month. If you are an alumni, or would it be an alumnus? Whatever. If you've taken the class before and you want to take it again, the discounted rate for you is only $4.95. All right, so basically like half of this price here. So you can get it for $4.95. We would have sent you a special link since you would have. The reason you get such a discounted rate is because you've already paid the $9.95, and it basically makes it so that it covers the cost of the data feed for the Options Pro, and you get all the live classes again. So it's $4.95. We would have sent you a special link, or you could just call our team. I'm going to ask if John could put the phone number in the chat for you all. And the phone number in the chat is also good for any of you if you do want to speak to a live person. I know I always like to speak to somebody and just talk to somebody with my questions. So the phone number will go into the chat for you. And then the other thing, some of you have taken Ron's income challenge, which just recently ended. I think it was a couple weeks ago. There's a discount for you as well. It's about $7.95, and you can get a special link in your email. Just look for it or just call our team. Other than that, the $9.95, purchasing it today would then in the future make you an alumni. So if you ever want to take it over again years down the road, we'll qualify you for a discount. You might not need it because you go through the course and you learn how to generate income, and then you don't need to take the course anymore. So with that, Ron, I was going to ask if you could actually do two things for us. Go to the optionspaycheck.com page because since we have members who are watching here who are VectorVest members already, there's a thing that I wanted to point out that everybody needs to know. If you go to this page, or I should say let me think positively, right? When you go to this page and you see the Register Now button, just click Register Now, and you'll be brought down to a lower part of the screen. So when Ron clicks on Register Today. Did I say Register Now? Then you'll click on Buy Now and Save, and it should bring you to another screen. On this screen, if you are already a VectorVest member and you put in your email address, I believe when you click on the Continue button, you'll get a message that says something like, the email address already exists. And then it'll give you a link that says sign in. All right. And then all you have to do is click sign in. The reason that's important is because you have to sign into your account. That way, when you order the course, it goes into your existing account. We'd hate for you to create a brand new account and then you have basically two accounts with us. So just sign in with your existing account, and that way the course goes onto your account. All right. And other than that, Ron, I was going to ask if you could just give everybody a little tour of what it looks like inside the course, because usually that answers several questions like about where the recordings are, what kind of broker videos you got that we actually have, because it's actually probably the best or the most comprehensive course we have here at VectorVest. So I thought maybe give a tour and show everybody what it looks like.
Absolutely, I was ready for that. So this, by the way, is what you're going to see when you sign up for the course. This is our university site. And in the upper left-hand corner, you're going to see our lessons area. So there's a watch me first video, just to give you an idea. If you scroll through that video, just kind of a summary of what we want to teach you over the next, 2 months. But most importantly, there's going to be the welcome recording. If I open that up, you're going to see there's going to be a video that's released on October 30th. Remember, the first welcome session is on October 29th. So we will release the video the next day. We'll record that for you. But most importantly, in that first section, there's a course curriculum checklist. Now, I like you to print this out. The reason why I want you to print this out is twofold. Number one, it's because there is a section in here for every module. So it's a checklist because we want to make sure you watch the snapshot, the lessons. We want you to make sure you're doing the reviews, the review questions, the action items. So for instance, if I look at module 1 and I scroll down the lessons area, you're going to see module 1. If I open up the recorded lessons for module 1 right here, you're going to see a snapshot, lesson 1, 2, 3, and 4. So watch the snapshot, lesson 1, 2, 3, and 4. If I scroll down a little bit farther, there's going to be a module review and some action items. So the action items are basically us just having you practice what you learn. We want to make sure that you're doing and you're getting better at this as you go. There's also a section for review questions. So if you open up the review questions, there's a quiz that you can take. Plus there's a video that you can watch of us answering the questions. There's an FAQ section. Down below that, this is our mastery session recording. If I open that little window up, you'll see there's a date of 7/31. That's what you're going to see. That's the mastery session that I recorded with my last options paycheck class. You can watch that if you want to, just to see what we did back in July. After the first mastery session that we do together, which I believe is October 30th, that will be overwritten, and you'll see that it'll be an October 30th date there. And every module is laid out the exact same way. Recorded, review, action items, FAQs, module recording. Recorded, review, action, FAQ, module. So all 8 modules have the exact same layout. Okay? Now, getting back up here to the checklist. The last thing on the checklist, which is nice, if you scroll all the way through the checklists, all the way on the bottom, the last page is a schedule. This is the schedule for all of our live sessions. So print that out. You'll always have an idea of where we're doing. October 29th, 4:30, October 30th at 4:30. This gives all the classes and what we're doing. Okay? So everything that we do until December 20th, which is our last get together in the options paycheck. Make sure you print that out. As you scroll down and you pass all the lessons, you're going to see the SPX trading module. So remember, we had that SPX paycheck system. Take a look. We got 2 trades to do. I concentrate more on that 35 delta trade. Take a look at it. A lot of our users say, hey Ron, you can just do the 35 delta trade right from the beginning. If you're the type of user that can follow directions and just do what we tell you to do, the 35 delta trade works pretty good for the beginner because we tell you exactly how to do it. If you want to know some of the whys of why we do certain things the way we do, well, that's what the options paycheck curriculum is going to show you. But if you're ready to just jump in and try a trade where you're willing to say, okay, I need to sell this one, buy this one, here's where I exit, then hey, you can jump into the SPX right away if you want to. Right below that, this is our recording section for all of our office hours and our Q&As. So during the first 4 weeks of the class, we have Friday Q&As. This is where you're going to find the recordings to all of our Q&As. And again, those dates will all update as we get to the live in your class. Weeks 5 through 8, these are going to be the recording areas for your office hours. This is going to be the recording areas for all of our live trading sessions together. If you want, by the way, you can go back and watch some of my old ones. These are all of my SPX trades for that time period. These, of course, will all be overwritten when it's time for your class to go through the live trading. You're going to get Options Pro starting November 1st, running through the December 20th end date of the course. If you want to learn a little bit more about how to use Options Pro, we can open that window up, and there's some nice little videos for that. Now, Options Pro, we will kind of go through as we do the action items, showing you in Options Pro and in most brokers too, how you can do some of the action items. I mentioned that I have videos for different brokers. I've got Thinkorswim, E-Trade, IB, Ally, and Fidelity. Those are the brokers I have access to. Most of my trades are done with Thinkorswim, and I do a few SPX trades with Fidelity. And then most important down here, this is the live webinar link. So every live webinar, 24 hours beforehand, we send you a link on how to get in the class. Links can be lost, links can go to junk, links can go to clutter. It's a constant struggle with email. So what we've done, just in case, if you open up the live webinar area and scroll down into the schedule and links, here's also the links for all of our curriculum. So it's Tuesday next week. It's 4 o'clock, and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't have a link for the client's class. I know it starts at 4:30 because I printed out the checklist like Ron told me to. Here you go. There's the link for the live welcome session. If you don't have the mastery session, there it is. There's the link. We already have them activated for November, the second week of November's modules. This is where you can get links for all of the sessions. Okay. As we say, the links for each session will be updated each week just in case the confirmation reminder emails are getting blocked. That way you'll be able to register yourself. Now, under the resources area down here, this is where you're going to be able to download all of the course material. So like in module 1, all the PDFs. If you go on to module 8, things like the checklist and the position sizing worksheet. One of the things that, and I give Brian a lot of credit for this, Brian put together a spreadsheet with the help of one of our clients who, this is actually a trade tracking and a trade checklist spreadsheet. It's fantastic. I use it every week with my students. It's an Excel spreadsheet that they can track. It's got all the rules for the trades in. Beautiful. You can download that right there. So that's basically the university course in a nutshell. That's going to be your home for really the next 8 weeks of the options paycheck course.
All right, Ron, that was very thorough, and you answered a lot of the questions that I was going to pose to you. And John, a member of our team, those of you who don't know, John Marabu is in the background answering questions. You'll get to know him quite a bit during the class. He's been answering a lot of your questions in the chat. John, and speaking of that, John answered a lot of the questions. So if you did type in a question, please check the chat for John's response back to you. But with that, Ron, I think since John did a lot of heavy lifting in the back and you did a thorough job showing the course, we've pretty much wrapped up the questions that came in. And now we can just tell people how excited we are to begin the class. And I'm really just going to pass it over to you to round things out for the day.
All right, cool. Well, I want to thank all of you for spending this last 90 minutes with me. I appreciate it. I realize how valuable time is. So hopefully I made this 90 minutes definitely worth your while. And for those of you that signed up, thank you. I appreciate it. We're going to spend the next, 8 weeks together. We're going to get to know each other. This is like my Super Bowl every time I do the options paycheck because it's what I do. I do this type of trading every single week. It makes up of like 95% of the trades that I do. So I'm really looking forward to working with all of you and just getting to know you and putting this together in your portfolio. So thanks once again. We'll see you next week for the live curriculum. And I wish you all of the best of success going forward. So thanks again, everybody. Have a great night, and we'll see you all again next week for the live curriculum. Thanks again.